hat. It's cold outside, it's winter time, and I want to be nice and warm, and I'm going to enjoy this. So I had this Beaver from Jack Hatfield, which, yes, he is related to Hatfield of McCoys, and right now he's actually working on a book called The True Story of the Hatfield and McCoys. He's getting it published now. He's 85 years old. He's down trapping in Arkansas right now. He just left this past weekend. Awesome guy. I mean, 85 and he's trapping, and he had the best trapping season of his life last year in Arkansas. So, I mean, this guy's he's cool. I enjoy his company when I get the chance to meet up with him and BS and, you know, talk about it. But anyway, there's other things I do. I make these railroad spike tomahawks. I make those. I make skinners out of sawmill blades, and got my name stamps in them. You can see that. But I enjoy tinkering around, doing different things. Made these hat racks the other day, forged those out, and made a guitar neck. Back a guitar neck. I've made a couple other things. Get the chance. I made bows, long bows, about 20 different long bows I've made, but. Made a dog sled last year, steam bent that at oak. That was the first time I made one of them. It came out awesome. Everybody loved it. But anyway, back to the Beaver hat. So we needed to figure out what the radius was, which is half of the diameter, which is the length from this point to this point. That way I can take my compass and draw my line. So I used a cloth tape and measured the diameter of my head, which I've got a fat head. It's 24 inches. So 24 inches. You divide that by pi, which is 3.14159, which gave me 7 something. Divide that in half, and it came out to 3.84, I think. So I measured, set my compass to that from the center to here. And if you ever need to find a center, which actually, if you set your compass, measure from here to here and set it at, like mine was 3.14. So I set it to the 3.84, I think it was, and then you'll get your radius and be able to draw out your circle, your 24-inch circumference circle. And then I added a half inch to that. And I took my compass and just shrunk it, went another half inch out, and drew this extra lip on here, so when I sew it, I'll meet these two lips here and I'll sew them together. So you always want to add a little extra. I did a half inch extra. Same way with the I needed 2 pieces. It's 24 inches around my head, added the inch to each piece, so I got a half inch here to sew and a half inch here to sew. So instead of 12 and 12 would be the 24, I made a 13-inch piece, rectangle. I figured out how wide I wanted it to come down my head. Of course, I just thought of this. I realized that I got to come down a half inch all the way across here, because that's going to meet up at the top here when I sew it. This piece up here will be a half inch also, so it'll meet up. So instead of 6 inches, I'll get 5.5 inch is down, which is good for me. It'll cover my ears, and of course I don't want it in my eyes, so I'll be tilting it down a little bit anyway, which will cover my ears a little more. So you want that half inch extra here. You want it on the top where it's going to meet up with your top of your hat, and then you want a half inch on each end to stitch together. So I have another piece, I got to draw that out yet. But so those two 13-inch pieces, once you subtract your half inch, you'll get 12 and 12, which is 24. And one thing I want to do is I want to leave this beaver face on here for like the brim of the hat. I think all the mountain men hats, I think they need a little bit extra. So, obviously I'll take these tags off once I cut this pelt up. But since this pelt is whole, I need to leave that tag on there. But them are going to go once I get this cut up. I won't need them anymore. And I'm going to leave that on the front of the hat. It'll look pretty cool. We'll see how it turns out. And I can always, you can always go a little wider, and then if you want to trim off the bottom, you can. If comes down too low, but I doubt I will. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to measure out my other one. I'm going to cut it, and we'll see what I come up with. And I'll come back to you, and I'll show you how I'm going to stitch this thing together.